Morning, Thursday, May 23, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. Start out with the indexes, go to futures, and sometimes cycles or crypto or forex and other markets. Now, we have a possible big reversal, a brewing in the indexes today. We had one yesterday for some indexes. We'll look at each one of them. The E-mini yesterday had a bearish engulfing, a new sell signal. Today we opened higher than we went higher than the high of yesterday, killing yesterday's signal, unfortunately, but we are not doing well. We're down on the day at this point after an opening at the high of the day, and all we have to do is get below yesterday's low, and I think there's a chance that that could happen. We're building downside momentum, and you'll see here on the 1 minute or 5 minute chart in a moment what it looks like. Our longer term position still long from April 25th. Yellow dots is our trailing stop, STS smart trailing stop, and the green line represents the entry and the current tick. Okay, and if you're interested in tutoring, you go to www.ersignals.com. Next is the short-term chart on the E-mini, and here is yesterday's signals being bumped out, unfortunately, minor losses. But this brand new signal could be carrying in today, and look, we're getting close to the low of today, and all we have to do is drop below 53.06, give or take a tick or two, and we will be below, I believe, yesterday's lows. Oh yeah, and that will be another back-to-back bearish engulfing ER sell signal. And again, we've got 3 hours almost to go, and we're near the lows, and looks like it's got downside momentum, so I think it might happen. Watch out here, people. If we go back up and close above yesterday's highs, where it opened approximately, that's a different story completely. So that would turn out to be bullish. This is not acting bullish whatsoever at this particular point. Next chart, spider. Same kind of condition, overbought, ready for a sell signal, haven't gotten one quite yet. Different trading hours, remember. And the 1 minute spider opened on its high in the opening minute, dropped to the low of the day, came back, and is now starting to slip again. If we get below yesterday's lows, then we're going to have a bearish engulfing ER sell signal, brand new. And we've got some brand new ones today, so keep watching. The QQQs, same story, but they're the strongest by far and away. The low of the day for the Qs has only come down to approximately yesterday's high, a little lower, and they're currently trading well above yesterday's high and yesterday's close. So if you look at the Qs by themselves, you're not going to get much bearish inclination except for the overbought condition and the possibility of a bearish engulfing, which will happen if you get below yesterday's lows. But again, the Qs are holding up the strongest of them all, and here's the 1 minute chart on the Qs. It did open on its high, come down, close the opening gap, went back up, and is still holding reasonably well, but everything's coming down a bit at the moment. Let's see about the NASDAQ daily futures contract, NQ. Same story here as you would expect, but we do have a little bit of support below the market. That's not much. And if we have a bearish engulfing today in these indexes, that support's not going to hold. My minimum downside expectation is a couple different levels based upon the individual contracts or index, but it's worthwhile on the downside. And this may, and I'm going to mention this for the first time, because of the broad double tops overbought conditions and there's other conditions that we have gotten ourselves into, this may develop into a move all the way back down to the April lows and even a little bit lower going into potentially October. We'll see how this pans out over the next few months. Next, and that's longer term bearish than I had been expecting earlier. But again, I don't have those sell signals completed quite yet, but things look pretty interesting. This is the NASDAQ 1 minute chart. and we're coming off close to the lows. So we'll see if we can get below yesterday's lows down here, 18,683-ish. Next, we've got the Russell, totally different story. Major historical support, topped out the market in overbought conditions about a week and a half ago. And we do have a new low and a new low close likely on the way down already out of a resistance area. And it could easily come down to the lows in April. It's already heading down there much faster. The Russell short-term 5-minute, new low for the day, close to its lows, probably the closest of the indexes, except maybe the DIA we're looking at next. And here's the DIA. It's almost at its low of the day. That's what I thought. We did have a sell signal on the exact high day with the DIA or the YM. Our ER sell signal, ER1 overnight, is still short and doing very well. And that's the green line from the short sale price and the current tick. Here's the same trade on a short-term 5-minute chart near the close of business 3 days ago. Stayed short with a small loss 2 days ago. Yesterday, without getting stopped out, that's the yellow dots up here, started to drop down, so the stop is locking in, and I use that phrase. Locking is not correct, of course, it's generic. If you're filled at the price stop, which does not guarantee that you get filled at those prices, you would have a small profit. And that was near the close of yesterday on the DIA, the YM futures contract, YM. And today, doing much, much better. New lows a few minutes ago, plotting the profitability tick by tick or loss if it was a loser. And it's doing great. We had a very, very small profit on the ER1 scalp. Wasn't even worthwhile on the day of the trade. But this is now 1 day into 2, 3, 4 days into the trade. ER1 overnight. Bonds. Brand new sell signal today. Bearish engulfing ER sell signal at the top of an upward slanting channel, which we poked our heads out of just slightly a few days ago, but up against resistance also, very similar to T-notes we'll look at in a moment. But this is a sell signal. I'm turning bearish on bonds. I'm looking for 115.17 down to 114.17, and I can't rule out a test of 12, or let's call it 113 flat. And I really can't even rule out around 111 because that's the bottom of the trading channel. And no, I'd say a couple of weeks. Could be fairly decent break, 5 points maybe, but I'm calling it 2 or 3 at the moment. Next, here's the new short sell sale this morning. Bonds, 6:51 a.m., 1-minute chart. Small profit momentarily. Next, we've got the notes. They do not have a bearish engulfing, but they are back down into the trading channel they were out of, and they did top out in an overbought condition at a resistance level. So I think they're going to come down as well as much, but unfortunately no signal per se. Crude oil. We're trading now around support that's been established a couple of days ago with a bullish engulfing. I don't think that support's all that great. I think this support level is going to get broken. We're not overbought at the moment. We have some, oversold, sorry, at the moment. And I think we could probably at a minimum test 76.25, which is very close. And if that's broken, especially going below that on a closing basis, then we're probably going to drop off a chunk more. I'm looking for 67.5. That's not out of the question. It's going to take it a couple, 4 weeks probably. Looks like that support level is not going to end up holding. On natural gas, we have almost a bearish engulfing. And if it gets below yesterday's low and closes lower on the day, we'll have a red bearish engulfing by the end of the day, but not at the moment. It needs to keep on going down, and we're almost low and last at the moment. So it wouldn't take much to get below yesterday's lows. That'll turn red. We're in overbought conditions, waiting for a sell signal, and it might be right in front of me. Heating oil. Now I have detailed for you the possibility of a head and shoulder bottom formation that is quite symmetrical, in fact, and looks pretty darn good on the average. I see I didn't mark in here the upside objective, which I'm doing very quickly. And if that, oh, you know, I probably did. I dragged it over the right. Yeah, there it is. Sorry. So, oh, that's a mistake. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So if today is a low, and we're currently trading very close to the lows of the day or at the low of the day, but it is at the right point in time. It is approximately at the right price, just a little lower than I'd like. But if this price level here and now starts to work its way back up again, and especially if it closes higher than the previous day's close, we will have a bullish engulfing, and I'd like that very, very much. Right now, it's a engulfing, but it's a currently trading lower on the day a bit, so it's a bearish engulfing, and that, if it works out correctly, is going to kill the pattern. So maybe a last shoulder low. Keep your eyes open on natural heating oil here. Now, double top formation in gold starting to look a lot more interesting. Look at the big down day we had yesterday and today. Low and last. We're already more than halfway down to the breakout level. And if this double top pans out correctly, we're going to see a downside objective of 21.23. Big move. That turns out to be a reasonably interesting possible support area. Keep your eyes on gold. Well, what about silver then? Silver got super overbought. I mean, super overbought. 95, huge. Last time we were there, which is very rare to begin with, it happened twice now, which is incredibly rare. Last time it happened, it was April, middle of April, about a month ago, and we had a very big correction for a couple of weeks. Then it went screaming higher again, and another very big correction. Looks like it's in progress again. My first little objective is almost there at 30.15, but I think there's a very good chance of 29.30, and I can't rule out even lower levels at 27.78. So silver looks like it's going to keep dropping here, nowhere near oversold, neutral ground at 55. A lot of elbow room to the downside. I'm counting on the super overbought condition to drive it down a chunk. Next, we did get a new short sale signal, ER signal on platinum just a couple of days ago on the 20th. This is something I talked about, officially seeing that day, if it happened at the time of the recording, the YouTube recording, or the next morning. It could happen after, you know, the YouTube. I may have mentioned it before it happens. I sometimes do. And it's there. So we have ER1 overnight doing very well. We have an ER1 scalp that looks like it made a very tiny profit. Nothing to write home about. But the signal is a great one so far. Low and last, new low, coming down quite a bit. 2 support levels already broken. Another minor one at 10.15, 10.20 or so is almost there. I think there's a chance this thing could come all the way back down to something like 940, 920, 900. Can't rule that out. Looks like a great sell signal so far. The last really great one we had that looks parallel to it is September 1st, which produced a really big break. Okay, still bearish on platinum. On high-grade copper, no sell signal at the high, but we now have new lows for about a week plus. Overbought conditions turned it around. Looking for a move down, probably a minimum of 4.694, but we've already gotten pretty close to that. Next stopping point on the way down is 4.464. Yeah, something like that. And even lower. Next, we've got the soybeans. Please remember, the ER signals did get a buy signal at the bottom of 4 out of 5 of the grain contracts. The only one we missed a signal on was soybean oil. but I have bullish excuses on that are working out okay so far. Just no signal. But here's our buy signal at the bottom of soybeans on April 19th. New high for the trend having been made today. Again, I don't like the fact that we're trading well below previous highs. It looks like it wants to stall out here, but I still have to be bullish for further new highs down the road slightly. Now here's soybean oil. It did bottom out in oversold conditions, and it did bottom out in a support area with a minor double bottom around the right point in time as well. Two things I don't like about this gigantic 2-year head and shoulder bottom is the fact that it's at the end of a big sideways trading range, and its size is unusually large. They're not that big 2 years very often. Mostly they're a few months, maybe 6 on the medium, a year or hair over on the large size. You don't see 2-year head and shoulder tops or bottoms very often. The neckline looks okay. It's the dashed yellow thick line. Got no problem with that. It's just tremendously bullish. I think my upside objective is something like 90. Yep, it's around 91. Next, soybean meal. Got the bottom of meal on February 29th. I think it's going to make new highs again. Simply got overbought, had a correction, and it looks like it's on its way back up to new highs. Next, got the bottom in corn, February 26th. Got a little overbought, hit a little resistance, has a correction. Looks like it's going to make another set of new highs, looking for 500. Next, we got the bottom in wheat to the exact day, and that was March 11th. We've got a sell signal recently. Sometimes they're part of a top forming. I'm a little concerned about that. We got overbought a couple of days ago, and we're starting to slip a little. Not very much, but this kind of thing could turn into something a little more bearish. But at least our recent buy signal on March 11th was a whopper. And so far, the other grains are developing even more bullish situations. So I think wheat's going to hold and make new highs again. I knew at the time that sell signal occurred that it didn't have too much zip, pop, bang to it. So I think I said so on that day as well, which is the 15th of this month, just last week. And we got cattle. Overbought conditions, poking its head just a little bit above the resistance area, but currently down very slightly, losing a little strength in overbought conditions. I think it might be trying to turn down. Need a little bit more evidence. And what about Miss Piggy? The hog market, we got the top of the market on April 10th. I said at the time this buy signal didn't look right because it was already retracing back to the neckline on the head and shoulder top, which is a very normal situation. And then it started to make new lows 2 days later. Fine with me. I didn't trust the buy signal to begin with. And now we have new lows every single day, 2 days after the buy signal. And there's a new low, new low, new low, and today again, a new low. But watch out, please. We're oversold. We could have a bounce at any time. Should be mild. I am still expecting 94.3 for a minimum downside objective, maybe in a week or so, 2 weeks at the most. And then we're going to go to OJ and switch over because of data feed problems still. Sorry, people, but at least I've got the charts in TradeStation. And here we go on OJ. Overbought condition like crazy. Again, this is fairly rare. 92 or 3. Gap to go back down and close happens to be right smack at the beginning of a support area, quite a bit lower at 385, and we're at 465 at the moment. That's a really big crash, and we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one down day, 7, 8, 9.5 out of 10 days, basically, in a row. One little down day. This is cruising for a bruising, so to speak. I think it's about to turn down at any time. I'm looking for sell signals. Watch carefully for new shorts. And then we've got sugar. Head and shoulder top formation, very broad. a little unusual. We've got a double shoulder on the left, which is slightly upward slanted, and a double shoulder on the right, which is symmetrical, but slightly downward slanted. That's good. Symmetry. We've got a fairly wide, and that's about as wide as the shoulders, top formation, which is a rounding kind of a top. Fine. The neckline slanted downward slightly. We've got no problem with that. When it was broken, it was a big down day, and we have not gotten above that high. I meant above the neckline so far. Another comment about this bullish engulfing being in the wrong damn place. It only produced a rally back up to the neckline, which is classical for the formation and its progression. So I don't trust the buy signal. We haven't violated the lows of the buy signal 3 or 4 days ago yet, but I think it's about to happen. So I don't trust it. And my minimum downside objective, because of the big pattern, is 1354. And we're currently 1820. So looking for a pretty big move down. Next is cocoa. Big rally up today. Support kind of held. Now, when it was broken at the beginning of the week, it traded back up again above the support level. It cracked through it. And that is sometimes a washout or a bear trap. It kind of did the same thing the next day and closed even higher the next day after getting down to support in a little bit below it. And here we are popping up a lot today, well into new highs for the last approximate week and a half. So I'm expecting a test of 9,077 and maybe even higher than that. But let's get there first, and that's not too far away. Next, we've got a brand new sell signal in coffee today. Now, ER bearish engulfing, red bearish daily price action, overbought conditions, and we are right around a resistance level, some previous lows, not that important, but it stopped it so far with the sell signal. I'm looking for a move down now to 150, 192 and a third, and we may even break that because this rally seems to be stalling out after an all-time high in hugely overbought conditions at 95, 96. Very unusual, again, to see those levels. We've seen it in a few. Now, big rally in cotton the rag. One buy signal worked okay for a few days, not great. But again, my signals oftentimes are the lowest low like that, and like that, and highs that are profound, but not necessarily the highest high for a while. That was only good for a few days. This sell signal was good for a day or two. So and this didn't work very well at all, and that didn't work very well at all, but there was maybe a little money in there for a day or two. So the point is, they're part of the bottoming and topping out formation and not always the highest high or lowest low, but sometimes they are. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Mañana.